Hello and welcome to a new Let's Play, hopefully. I'm just jumping right into this with Wasteland 2. Let's start with a new game and explain some, stuff pertaining to the game, and here we are. Squad creation, use default squad. No, we'll be creating a custom squad. Create custom ranger, or just call him Dick Face for the time being. You can choose their gender, male or female, religion. You've got a wide spread. Nothing apart from atheist ever really does anything, and even then it's just some flavor text change. Make him a Hindu, because it's fun to say. Age, the oldest man in the world. Smokes, red rooster. You can change portraits. But we'll be getting to typing on biography. This is for test purposes, not real man. So, yeah, I'm kind of blazing through everything, but it's all self-explanatory here. You can change your appearance, give him a stupid hat, stupider hair, stupid head, some full-on body armor, some less full-on body armor, skin tone, size, make a wee mustache man, or a big biggin. Just randomize it all. Confirm. This is the real meat and potatoes that we want to get into. Because Wasteland is an RPG. So we have 7 attributes remaining to spend and 12 skill points. Now, I've kind of worked out what I want to do with all the characters. I'm not going for a completely min-max thing, but I am. And so what we'll have, this first guy, first off, everyone's going to have at least 4 intelligence. Charisma, not really that useful, apart from one character that I plan on building. Mostly going to focus on strength. Luck, that goes into criticals and evasions, and really it's nice, but I'd rather have other things. Before I start changing things, should probably go over what they do. Coordination, action points, range, chance to hit, pretty self-explanatory. Action points being the best thing you can really have, so luck, again, critical chance, evasion, chance for getting additional constitution per level, chances for bonus action points per turn. You can kind of skew that by ending your turn early and reserving some bonus points, but you're not really going to be planning your attacks around, oh well, Jimmy's going to get fucking an extra bonus point, I can feel it in the cards, it's going to happen. Awareness, combat initiative, chance to evade, and vision range. All good things, and I think, no, that's just a skill. It's all nice, but not necessarily important. Well, combat initiative is good, because you want to go first so you can set things up. Strength, melee, critical hit damage, melee carry, melee max con per level, starting con, action points, base melee. Speed, combat initiative, so that and awareness are where you get your initiative from, evasion, and action points as well. Because I had it once to explain to me, I asked, why does walking take more action points? And someone explained that, well, action points represent what you can do in a second, as represented in the game. Makes sense. If you're quicker, you get to do more things. Intelligence, there's like hard cutoff lines. Well, actually, you lose a skill point and an action point at like 2, but you can't go less than 2 points per level, so you can 3 still 3 is the last point where you only get 2 skill points per level, and you also get an action point, and it's the default. 4, you get an extra skill point, and frankly, for that extra point, it's the best investment you can really make. The next point comes at 8, where you get an extra skill point and extra action point. Yeah, and then you get nothing for 9, and then finally at 10 you cap out with 5 skill points per level, which is very nice. But for him, we'll only be keeping it to 4. Charisma in a leadership radius is important for one of your characters, and increased XP rewards, they're nice, but you're not going to be you're going to be doing a lot of skill checks, so really, and you level up quickly enough, so it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, speed. This is just to go over all the things. I'll look over this later and realize I'm a jackass. Now for skills, you have combat skills. Yes, I know. Knowledge skills and general skills. Thanks for the tutorial. Basically, it's your fighting, your teching, and your talking. You have assault rifles, which are OP. Everyone knows this who's played this game. Bladed weapons, bladed, blunt, and brawling kind of fall under the same category for me in that why even fucking bother? At the very least, with the Director's Cut edition that I'm playing, ammo's never really that scarce. Like, I've always had at least like 1 or 2 mags on hand for people, even if they're both using the same weapon, which I won't really be doing just because I like the variety. But if you do need a skill, go with blunt, because these little diamonds unlocks self-defense. Yeah, those are perks, and blunt honestly has like the best perks, especially charge. The glancing strike thing is fun, and shoulder the load is what you really want on like your tank, because that reduces the weight or speed penalty of heavy armor. So, yeah. Energy weapons, they used to be stronger in the original game from what I hear, and from what I've used of it, because, disclosure, I haven't beaten the game, but I've certainly gotten to more than the halfway point. Energy weapons, they're kind of weak, apart from when you will really want them. Because you do fight robots, and energy weapons, bar none, are the best for that. Yeah, low damage against enemies with normal armor. And cannot inflict critical hits, but considering like everyone's going to be running around with like 0 fucking luck, and it's not really that big of a deal. Handguns, they have their place, but there's a character who'll like be able to max that out, and they're fine with that. Though honestly, if you're thinking about, yeah, they're fine. Heavy weapons, they're a double-edged sword, because they can output like good damage, like it says, high damage, good armor penetration, fucking clip. But they're expensive to use, which makes sense because you're going to be firing like a few rounds per use. Slow movement speed in combat, that does kind of suck, but and cannot use precision strikes. All the perks relating to it basically work around that, so it's not that big of a deal. And to be honest, unless you're using like a sniper, you're not going to be using precision strikes all that often. Or maybe you do on higher difficulties, and I'm just a scrub. Who knows? Sound off in the comments. Like anyone's going to be watching this. But the thing that they don't tell you is they can't accept mods, which in turn translates to them being able to jam. And if you're firing 7 rounds, well, you're going to get a jam. More than like anything else. So, yeah. They do have their upsides, but the downside is it's kind of rolling a dice. There is a weapon that doesn't have a jam to it, and it's honestly pretty good, but just keep that in mind. Also, they're thirsty. Because the good damage comes from the fact that you're firing multiple rounds per second. Shotguns, they have their, points. They're fun to use, and, it's really satisfying hitting multiple targets, but notice how it doesn't say high damage. Even when you get to, the endgame shotguns, it's they just kind of plink off everything. Not really worth it. Unless you... Sniper rifles. Honestly, if you were gonna kind of min-max this, I'd say sniper rifles, assault rifles, and then submachine guns. I'll get to them in a second. And at least one... Well, actually pick up a person with energy weapons who can, carry you through some of that stuff. Sniper rifles are just your finger of death from long range. Oh, hey, there's a guy over there, and I want him dead. And again, I'm always kind of biased to sniper rifles. Don't know why. Also, I never realized this, but submachine guns have, fuck all for perks. Anyway, submachine guns, if you're debating whether you want a person to use pistols, just make them take submachine guns, because it uses basically the same thing. Admittedly, you're losing the uses per strikes, and you're not getting the cheap low AP per shot. Also, handguns do have some nice perks, come on, Joe. Desperado, you get a pretty nice chance for just a free shot. But anyways, submachine guns, they're pretty nice. Now on to the knowledge skills. Just as a thing, everyone that I'm going to make is going to take at least one combat skill. They're going to be taking 2 or 3 of knowledge in generals. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. Alarm disarming, there are some points where it's useful, but if you're really wanting to get into things, you're going to want computer science, lockpicking, or safe cracking. Yes, there's a difference between lockpicking and safe cracking, and this is based off a game from the 80s. They had that kind of distinction. Demolitions has its uses if you're not stupid, because you need to kind of just remember that you can use explosives outside of combat to, say, maybe get around a stubborn door or something. But otherwise, you're just going to be using demolitions to clean up minefields, which is tedious work, but hey, if you have a guy with lots of demolition skills, all the merrier. Field medic ties into... Where is the blasted thing? Surgeon. Again, safe cracker and lockpicking, yeah, they're related, but different. Field medic is more your, combat thing. Honestly, it's nice to have, but not vitally important. Surgeon, on the other hand, yeah, it even says in the tooltip, Surgeon skill is used to revive down members' squad both in and out of combat. And also it actually has like a little skill check that I know of. So, but you get a character who like can handle both of those, so most when you have the skills to spend, just get to level 2 Surgeon in case you ever need to pick the person you pick up. Toast Repair is basically a skill check to get very useful loot. Maybe not inherently useful loot or like right away, readily available loot, but it'll help you clear up some quest stuff. So you do get a character who starts off with level 5, which, that's 14 points, not too inconsiderable to have, and you can pick them up fairly early, but I mean, you're not going to want to keep that character forever, so maybe just make like a technician type person. And skipping over mechanical repair. Mechanical repair, it's mostly for skill checks here and there, and more actively if you fuck up lock picking, and I think safe cracking too, because like if you critical fail, that sort of breaks the lock and you have to fix it using mechanical repair, so it's 2 checks instead of 1. Anyways, Animal Whisperer, there is only a single point in this game that you really need Animal Whisperer. And even then, you only need to get it to like level 4. There's a character that starts with it at level 2. And then you just slap on a figure on them to get it to level 5. And that's the only time you need it. Barter, it's a take it or leave it skill. I mean, I like it. But, it's not really, in the grand scheme of things, that important, because you're going to be going through a lot of junk. But, good to have. A few extra bucks here or there. Brute Force is vital. You get a character who has it, and they're good with it, but that is a trick. You do not want to rely on that character, because they do leave your party, spoilers, and not inconsiderably late either. Like, they leave pretty early. So you're going to want a character to at least be focused in it so they can take over for when that character leaves. But otherwise, very useful skill. You're probably going to want to get it to 10. Same with like block picking and safe tracking and computer science. Just to have it around. Also demolitions. Hard ass, kiss ass, and smart ass. They all have their different things, and okay. And on the next screen, you'll find that you can take what's called a quirk that allows you to have the hard ass perk just completely maxed out, so you always pass those checks. The exchange being you can't use kiss ass or smart ass, even though you get a character who starts with it, and you can use books and the starting perks for each of them to get them up to at least level 3. You just can't use them. Anyways, leadership is very useful because you only have 4 characters to really work with, but your max party size is 7. There's the 4 people that you have, and then there's 3 extra people that you can recruit over your journeys. And not all of them are going to be favorable, and they'll like kind of lose their mind and do stuff their own way. And the AI is kind of awful for them, and they just do stupid things. Sometimes they do things like, well, I was just going to do that anyways, thank you. But it's just better to keep a leash on them. Outdoorsman is basically depends on how much you want to do random encounters. At the very least, I'd suggest maybe getting it to... yeah, at least get it to level 7 so you get the World Traveler perk, which is useful. I just quickly zoomed over here. Camel is useful for about half the game, so there's that. Not like you need to get this. Like, some of the things actually... some of the perks you actually do want to invest in. Like weaponsmithing, which unlocks Tinkerer, which gets you an extra AP if you use light armor, which is to say armor that doesn't require a strength check, which is what you're going to mostly be using, apart from maybe your tank. So there's that. You are going to want someone with like top weaponsmithing though. Well, not even top, just level 8, I think, because you do get some trinket, which are just little items that give you a boost that boosts your weaponsmithing, I think mechanical repair, and something else, but mostly just weaponsmithing. So yeah, that's all the skills. We're just gonna make them super leadery and bartery, so I can and the toughest, quickest, eyeiest person there is. Here's the quirks. You have no quirk, animal husbandry, which ties into bonuses from animal followers, which ties into animal whisperer perk being twice as good. 2 times 0 is still 0, is all I have to say about that. Ascetic, it has its points, like 5 skill points and a bonus attribute point at the start of the game is nothing to scoff at. But not being able to equip a trinket item can have its downsides. I think I know how to use that one though. Here's the asshole perk, like I said. Can't use Kiss Ass or Smartass, but you know, if you're trying to be like conservative with your point spendage, which at the beginning of the game you kind of have to be, but after a certain point you're just like, man, whatever, chuck it on the pile. You kind of wish that you don't take that one. But hey, it's nice for a bit. Brittle Bones, 2 action points, 50% combat speed. Good for, like, sniper characters. Delayed gratification. This ties back into what I was just saying about how you're struggling for points early on, and later on you're just like, haha, fucking take skill points. Dispernarum Numerophobia. Dispernarum Numerophobia. Do +1 to even and odd. You know, it bounces out, but I'm not that math inclined, so wouldn't be a thing I do. Faint and Goat, it's funny, but you know, it's also good to cause miscriticals. But on the other hand, you have a guy who's just out for a round or two. But then again, I guess that's better than him taking a massive critical and being out and needing to be picked back up. Heavy-handed. It goes with all of the blunt melee options, so, and less critical chance, so entirely pointless. Manic Depressive, if you're doing like a low skill, or not a low skill run, but like an easy run, might be fun to just take that. Misophobic would be good to put on your medic, but you pick up your medic, far as I'm concerned, so that's not really all that important. Opportunists. Honestly, opportunists, I'll probably if you were using someone with like shotguns or something, someone that you use as like your closer, that might be a good idea, and then you can tie it in with like your combat initiative so that they go last always. Take it as you will. Psychopath's like the bloody mess perk. It's just good. Well, it's not one for one bloody mess because bloody mess doesn't have a downside. Whereas this, if you miss an attack, you lose your chance to hit and base critical chance. Really, it's more the chance to hit, but you keep on target and everything's own gravy. I will be taking Raised in the Circus because it's funny. Repressed Rage. As much as I'm throwing criticals under the bus, not ever getting a critical is kind of annoying. Thick Skin, again, if you're wanting like someone not all that quick, you can probably go with that. 20% combat speed, but 10% less chance to hit. It has its purposes. Probably if you're using like shotguns, get up in their face and then blast. 2 pump chump. You do get the ones that are less than 2 combat turns, but 2 combat turns is pretty slow or very unlikely. Chance for a random lightning strike. Maybe pair it with manic depressive for twice the fun. Way the squeezins, it's... I mean, if you stock up on it, it's good. Now, we're just gonna go with no quirk. And there's our character, Dickface, custom. And then you go through, make your entire team, and then you get into the game proper. Which I will go make a team right now, and we'll get into. And I'll check the recordings. See you then. Bye. Oh. This is, in fact, your first barbecue. Indeed. Not really, but I don't want to do seasoned. Yes, I could go and choose. Cutscene. Brian Fargo presents an In Exile Entertainment production. Flashdance 2. Exile development team. White noise. Let's go and get to making that dinner. Victoria Cox. Matthew, go find Leigh. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. General Vargas. I think someone said it before.
What comes after the end? I don't know. Neither did they. They were just an Army engineer battalion, constructing roads and bridges deep in the middle of the Arizona nowhere.
For some reason.
They didn't know why Armageddon had come. They'd heard radio chatter about an attack on some space-based missile platform.
Space-based?
But who had attacked it, or why?
Well, apparently it was the farmers.
What they did know is that the politicians and the generals had finally ended the world. Now, everything was gone.
Well,
they took over a federal prison for a fort, kicked out the convicts, got busy starting from scratch. Maybe it was an act of mercy. Maybe they figured that the prisoners would die out in the harsh new world. Whichever, it came back to bite the engineers in the ass.
As such things
Cultists,
often do.
criminals, cannibals. They've been living with the fallout ever since. Good people had survived too. Called for help in the night. And those engineers, those common soldiers, could not stand by and see them die. So they came out of their fort, and they helped the survivors defend their homes. And for that, they earned a new name. A proud name.
The Fluffy
The Desert
Bunnies.
Rangers.
That too.
Now, Rangers, I know at times it seems our cause is hopeless. And I know it's hard to say goodbye to a brother in arms. But I want you to know something else. That no Ranger who dies in the line of duty will ever be forgotten.
Wasn't there a guy
Nor
who
will
died
he have
last
ever
week?
died in
No.
vain or unavenged.
And here's the big reveal of our team.
Thank you.
And the most important object you can pick up in like the first few seconds. A stiff-bearded old man wearing a hard-worn ranger uniform and a battered old cowboy hat. General Vargas walks with a cane, but he's not helpless. He wears a barrel-handled revolver on his hip, and there are a lot of notches on the barrel. Click anywhere on the spacebar to continue.
I appreciate you coming to Captain Ace's retirement party when you hardly knew the man. Appropriate, too, seeing as how investigating his death will be your first duty as a Desert Ranger.
I mean, it beats being a gopher. How did he die, sir?
Ace had been trying to locate a faint radio signal, which has lately been giving us cause for concern. We gave him 3 repeater units and sent him to hook them up to 3 remote radio towers. This would have allowed us to get a fix on the signal. But sadly, Ace was murdered by unknown assailants right after hooking up the first tower, and his logbook and the last 2 repeater units were stolen.
Also his Jaffa cake. Happy to be given the opportunity, sir. But are you sure we're ready?
Yeah, I know. You've hardly found your feet with us, and here I am sending you on a mission that already got 1 Ranger killed. Well, I wish I had another option, but the Desert Rangers are spread a little thin right now. Ranger teams Abel and Charlie are out west trying to stop a range war out there from becoming straight-up genocide. And Team Baker is up north looking for a way through the radiation that's cut us off from Vegas. I'm afraid the next generation is going to have to lead the charge on this one.
Alright. The signal is a threat, sir?
The voice on those broadcasts disturbed me greatly. It talked crazy talk about a future where man and machine would be one. Worse, it talked about us, the Desert Rangers, specifically. It said it was coming for us.
Can't remember the rest of the lyrics. Repeater units.
When you get back to the Citadel, talk to our radio expert, Wade Woodson, if you want to know more about the technical details. All I know is the repeaters will upgrade the towers and allow us to zero in on the mystery signal.
Where are the radio towers?
I'll give you the locations of the towers once you have the repeaters in hand. More important to find them first.
Good enough reason. You think the logbook was stolen, sir?
Don't know, but it wasn't on Ace's person when he was found. Look for it. It might have some clues as to his death.
Good enough. What's the mission, sir?
The mission is this. Search the area where Ace's body was found, and do your best to recover his logbook and the repeater units. Then call in your report. If you find the repeaters, I may send you on to finish his mission.
Alright.
Ace's death must be avenged, and it will be. But finding the signal he died trying to track down is just as important. Besides, I got the sneaking suspicion that when you find the one, you'll find the other.
Where is this area, sir?
It's about a day's walk east from here. I'll mark it on your map.
Ah, thank the Lord.
There you go.
Thank you. Call in,
Yes,
sir?
call in on your radio. Your radio is your lifeline to Ranger Citadel. We'll be calling you with alerts and updates on your current missions, and sending you new missions when we receive distress calls. As Rangers, it is your sworn duty to respond to those calls. That is the contract we made with the people of Arizona when we opened for business. Once
Very
you
well.
prove yourself, the Citadel will be your new home. Consider this mission the final test of your training. If you succeed, you are welcome within our walls. If you fail, and you aren't cut out to be a Desert Ranger, then we won't let you in.
Please, sir, if you're sending us after Ace's killer, then you've already decided we're worthy. Why not just let us in?
Kissing ass already, huh? Well, some folks in the Waste can be persuaded that way.
That's
Not
basically
everyone.
just a
I've been
try
cleared
out
up
which
by
one
the
you
best
like.
of them, so
And
I'm
you
wise
get
to
free
those
experience
tricks.
points for
You
whoever.
get through our doors with deeds, not words, recruits. Good try, though.
Very well, though.
Good luck out there, recruits.
We'll do our best. So, let's have a quick overview of who we have on our team. Of course, we have Waldo Wondertongue, the raised in a circus man, Miss Cheft, Miss Cheft, Bart, and Ash. Fun fact, his name was originally going to be Art, but then I named her Ash, and I just didn't want two people with the first name starting with A. And yes, I did make the conscious decision to try and keep it down to at least one syllable words. Ash, Bart. Miss Chef doesn't really fit into that, nor does Waldo Wondertongue, but, well, exceptions must be made. Circus feet. Nobody wants to hang out with a carny. Yep, I guess I can't see that. But you can see that he has a little pack. So, yep, that's what our our person who talks to everyone is going to look like. Well, not to everyone. He's also the smartest person in the party, because I find that funny. And also the most charismatic, because he is also our leader. Well, leader in skill, if not in actual position. Because I didn't want the actual fucking clown to be the leader. He has kiss ass, even though smart ass is more helpful for getting a person. Unfortunately, the perk that you need that helps out with that is so far away that, well, also she has the same skill, so basically you put all those points in to get someone who has an extra point. Anyways, up next is Bart, who's focused on demolitions, assault rifles, is a hard ass, and has brute force, and is quite the looker. You can read up he's coordinated, pretty strong, fairly fast, and intelligence 4. Just gonna hide those, because I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, perks, we'll go over those later. Multicolored habit. Very well. Next up is Ash, who is very coordinated, very aware, and not too bad in everything else that matters. She is our sniper rifle expert, our weaponsmither, outdoorsman, and perceptionist. God, I forgot how little con everyone started with. Anyways, here is Miss Cheft. She's coordinated, the second most intelligent person in the group, and kind of a jack of trades everywhere else. maybe I did kind of mess up giving her charisma, but it'll help out later when I need to pick up a person, because you do need charisma to get some followers. And she uses submachine guns. She's our lockpick, mechanical repair, and safe cracking expert. Eventually, I'll get her a little bit of weaponsmithing to get Tinkerer, because why not? Actually, I think most people will end up picking up weaponsmithing for Tinkerer. She'll also be our toaster repair person at some point. But as it stands, that's just gonna get left behind forever and a day. As it looks, AP 10, AP 12, but that's only due to her brittle bones quirk. He's merely thick-skinned, which means he's a bit slower than the rest, but, you know, +2 armor, not bad. Clearly going to end up being our tank. Mischief is a psychopath, because it's just fun to have. And of course, he's raised in a circus. +5 evasion, which kind of affects evasion. Okay, at least it's mostly speed, not luck. Anyways, I just wanted a goddamn clown. Also, no leadership bonus received. If he's the leader, he doesn't need to receive a bonus. Anyways, let us pick up the most important item in the game. And yeah, I guess Waldo can hold on to that. We've already talked to him. Cadet Paul Takeda. Supreme Jerk Pavlish. Major General Redhawk. Cadet Suicide. Imperial Scarpliff Ralph the Hobo. Technical Major Ron Nakata. Fought like a ranger until the end. I guess he paid extra for those few words. Anyways, we have everything we need from Vargas, which is to say our mission. Here lies Ace, born a man, died a desert ranger. We have some earth patters, and we don't really need anything from Vargas. Lance Colonel Ken Stone. Cadet Swerks. Cadet Zombra. Yeah, by the way, this game was backed on like Kickstarter, and there's references to it everywhere. Let's go get another one. Well, we'll get one at a later date. We're just gonna... Good to see you, recruits. Afraid I can't let you in. Let's go pick up something that I'm pretty sure no one can actually use. I like your chutzpah. So. Like it or not. You bet. What is it? I call her the Mississippi Mule, because she cooks like one. A double-barreled flintlock pistol that will turn your enemies into thin red paste, as long as they're within 10 feet of you. She was my go-to gal when I was on patrol, but now I'm stuck here on door duty. She doesn't get much use. You can have her as long as you promised. That's a promise we can keep. Great. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not, because it's a shotgun. No one has a shotgun as a skill, because I don't like shotguns. We have assault rifles, sniper rifle, and a submachine gun. We'll have someone who also works with the submachine gun, and I'm not too sure. We'll talk to her later, because it's related.
Hey, Echo 1, Mind picking up that can over there for me? Think there's some water in there. He headbutted you right in the butt.
Do we want to kill Aberforth? Nah, he's clearly terrified. These people you can just pick up if you don't create
You actually
a group.
thought I was serious about wanting that can. I just wanted the goat to hit you in the ass.
Good enough reason. The general said he'd be out here to train us after the funeral. And that's how you get pushed to the front of the line and the first to die. You know, if one of you dies. Oh yeah, I guess you can go pick them up. Left click on that for the most important thing ever, which is the access to a lot of loot. Basically, a lot of skills boil down to... I think she gets that, because she has the grease gun. Wanted poster. A wanted poster. It reads, 1,000 scrap reward for the apprehension of the angry red clown. Dead or alive? Well, good thing we got our hands on that before anyone else. We have a grand total of $50. Can't look at the flag. Ooh, more things to uncover. Ooh, piece of candy. And we're making our way over here for a reason. Few extra bucks. Oop. Don't think I don't notice you. Ooh, lots of things. We got that. You can't wear jewelry. Maybe I'll diversify. Nah, he's already gonna be pretty fucking spread thin. Which is why I'm planning on,
Damn it, Ace.
when he gets an
You never
attribute
should've
point,
Put down the wrench and picked up the gun.
you probably should have chosen the Bible, to be honest. Yeah, our Waldo Wonder Tongue's gonna be spread pretty thin for points-wise. Especially until he gets to level 10, in which point he gets an extra attribute point. Everyone gets an attribute point every 10 levels. Anyways, howdy. Tough-looking redhead with decades of sun and wind and hard living etched into her angular face stands sobbing in the shadow. You saw her at Ace's retirement party. The sleeves on her uniform have been torn off, revealing multiple tattoos on her sinewy arms. All skulls. The tears running down her cheeks are splashing on a rusty old wrench she holds in her scarred hand.
Sorry about the waterworks. I'm still pretty broke up over Ace. I'm Angie. You kids must be the new recruits old Vargas trained up. Lord, y'all just babies.
I'd like to point out Waldo is 75.
Sorry, but you are. As cute as little kittens. Y'all remind me of us. Snake, Razor, Thrasher, and me. Back when we were just starting out. Thinking we were gonna save the world for the future. Thinking none of us would ever die.
Well, most of you survived to the game, so...
Christ, sorry. Don't listen to me. Youth is good. Optimism is good. If we all started out worn out and jaded like me, nobody'd ever try to change the world. So you kids go ahead and give it a go. Maybe it'll work this time.
Maybe. We saw you at Ace's funeral. You know him well?
They all hurt, but this one... Man, Ace wasn't even a ranger. Not at first. He worked as a driver and mechanic for Fair and Brygo up in Vegas. When Base Cochise started sending its death machines into the desert, Brygo sent Ace south to recruit robot fighters. We met him in quartz. He'd pissed somebody off out there and they'd locked him up. We sorted that out, and he started running with us, helping us fight Cochise, and never stopped. Vargas eventually gave him the uniform and the hat. But I don't think he ever formally signed on. He was just always there. And
Now he's over there, in the ground. Also, side note, Cochise always makes me think of an Italian pastry for some reason.
God damn it, Ace. I knew this one was trouble. I knew it.
You thought Ace's mission was trouble?
He was working on the same thing Vargas has you working on.
Woo!
Trying to
Suicide
stop
mission!
from beyond the edges of the map. All seemed a bit boring and scientific to me. But then Ace started saying he thought someone was following him. I asked him to let me come with him when I met him at Rail Nomads to give him the repeater units. But he told me to go back to base. He said he was just jumping at shadows because those radio broadcasts had spooked him. I should have gone with him. Why didn't I go with him?
How about you mark that on my map?
Could be a nice little place if the Atchisons and Topekans would kill him.
Okay, alright. Well, I'll
Can't
get it
even
later.
remember what it's all about. But between them, they got enough old railroad tech that if they worked together, they could give this area a real transportation system. Instead, it seems like all they want to do is blow each other's heads off. Idiots.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Quartz?
Man, not sure I can recall. Haven't been out that way in ages. Don't even know if it's still on the map. Ask Thrasher. He'd know.
The answer is no. This game does not travel in the same way Wasteland 1 did, where she's from. So, have you heard any of these
Ace
strange
played with some of them
broadcasts?
before he died. Hard to make out a lot of it, but what I heard made my hair stand on end. Some guy talking about turning men into machines, or machines into men, or some shit. But the crazy thing was,
Half
they started
man,
talking about
half
us,
machine,
the Rangers,
all cheese
saying
lover.
we're the cause of all the trouble in the world, and we need to be wiped out so his glorious future can be born.
I
Who
don't
is this
know.
guy? Where is he? What the fuck does he have against us?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure whoever pushed the button and ended the world, they're probably to blame for like all of the shit more than us. Know any more about these
I
repeater
don't really
units?
know the details. It's all a bunch of mumbo jumbo about transmitters and north-south axis and signals bouncing off the clouds. Ask Woodson about it. He's our radio genius.
Sergeant Woodson?
Radio technician Wade Woodson?
Yeah, there's a lot
Sure.
of talking.
He's the guy
I
that
might
makes
just
sure
start
you can hear
skipping.
Vargas when you're out on patrol.
Uh-huh.
Keeps the machines running and the signal clear. He'll also talk your ear off about circuits and frequencies and I don't know what else if you let him. But be nice to him. He's your lifeline to the base.
Right.
You
Thrasher?
better call him Gilbert now. Funny, back in the day, he just seemed like this big old growly bear. Strong as an ox and just about as articulate. But then he got all torn up during our fight with the robots from Base Cochise, and he couldn't go out on patrol no more. Any other commander would have handed him his walking papers. But Vargas doesn't dump old friends. So he started him working in the museum. And once you know it, turns out the old bear has a knack for cartography. He's been gradually mapping our little corner of the wasteland ever since. Who'd have thunk it?
Well, pretty important now that we have actual graphics. What was Base
An
Chinchilla?
old military facility from before the war. And the biggest fight the Rangers ever had. There was some crazy computer in there that kept spitting out robots and sending them off to kill people. We had one hell of a fight putting it down. Earned our stripes that day. Literally. That's when I became Captain Death.
Yeah. Computer?
Yeah. The base Cochise AI. Don't know what was wrong with it. Broken, I guess. It thought everybody was its enemy. Wanted to kill the whole planet.
Well, when the world basically ends and we're technically to blame for it, computers tend to start blaming us for everything.
He's another one gone. Went out for a patrol a few weeks back and never came home. Don't know if he's dead, or AWOL, or gone off to join the Scorpions.
I know the
All
answer.
anybody
We'll figure
knows
out the
is
answer.
He hasn't called
But
in,
later.
and we haven't heard from anybody who's seen him. I miss old Hellraiser like blazes. Didn't talk much. Didn't make friends easy. Wasn't big on social graces. But he was as loyal as they come. And when the shit started flying, he was the guy you wanted at your back. He didn't win that name by accident. Sharp as a razor, Scary as hell.
And just so happens to be a pun. Angela Death?
You weren't briefed on those fucks during your training?
Not really.
Well, let me
Well,
fill you
we
in.
were.
You know when we left the prison and moved here to the Citadel? Well, the Scorpions were the jerks who moved into the prison when we moved out. Just a bunch of rangers back then, but they've been getting more organized. They call themselves a militia now, and they try to act like they're the Desert Rangers of eastern Arizona. Well, that's a load of horse shit. The protection racket.
We'll
ain't the
go
same
have
as
to
protection.
serve them their
They
DMCA
shut down
papers.
all their towns for money.
And by DMCA papers, I mean whatever we happen to have on hand in terms of ammo.
Rangers aren't like that. We get by on donations and good old-fashioned scavenging.
Yes, good old-fashioned scavenging. After we shoot the people who shoot at us first. I mean, it's scavenging in a way.
Basically everything between the prison and the radiation clouds to the east. There are a few small towns and farms out there, which the Scorpions...
There's actually
claim
not that
as
much
territory.
space between the
Rangers
prison
used
and
to
the
patrol
radiation
that area
clouds.
before we moved here, and we knew it pretty well. But a lot can change in 15 years. Who knows? Maybe it's all as clean and nice and crime-free as the Scorpions say it is. But I've got my doubts.
Radiation clouds?
Edges of the map, kiddies. Big hot areas we can't get into without getting cooked to a crisp. The clouds move around some with the wind and the weather, but there are permanent hot spots on every side of us. North, south, east, and west. Until we started hearing those weird broadcasts, I kinda thought those clouds went on forever. And that Arizona was the last place on Earth. But maybe there's more people out there. Maybe the whole rest of the world's just fine, and we're the only ones in hell. Wouldn't that be a joke?
It would be. Though I would like to point out, when you make your characters, you can give them, like, really any ethnicity, which I don't really understand if we're basically all the descendants of, like, army-based people or prisoners.
Yep. He was one wild-ass son of a bitch back in the day. But I think the weight of his responsibilities has kinda squashed that out of him now. He hasn't been in a decent bar fight in, shit, a decade maybe?
You know, well,
Better than he'd like. Back in the day, the General was the craziest of us all. But somehow, after he brought down Base Cochise, he became the sanest. Now he's running the whole show and doing a damn fine job. While I'm still walking patrols and answering radio calls. Shows you how much ambition I got, huh?
I see you have Ace's name tattooed on and heart on you.
You noticed that, huh? Well, Ace always said I wore my heart on my sleeve. Yeah, me and Ace, we were more than just old army buddies, if you know what I mean. That's why it hurts so bad. That's why I want to come with you.
Woo! Party man again!
Say, listen. Vargas asked you to look into Ace's death because he thought I was too upset to be professional about it. He didn't want me going off half-cocked and shooting up all of Arizona looking for his killer. But I gotta find this guy. Ace and me, well, we've been fighting side by side for nigh on 20 years. I'm not letting him die unavenged.
Why does the audio quality for that sound so different? Anyways.
Well, I know it's going against orders, but if you let me tag along and be in at the kill, well, I'll help you find your feet out there. Maybe give you a few pointers along the way. I may be old and slow, but I know the wastes like the back of my hand. What do you say?
Yes. Party man again! And let's just have a quick look at her. This is why you want high leadership skill. Because she has a... All the people you pick up have a chance to go rogue. And when they go rogue, well, they just fall back on their AI, and it's not too pretty. She's level 7. She's fairly coordinated, aware. Strength's pretty good. Same for speed and intelligence. And charisma, too. Better than, like, 2 other people that I happen to have. And for skill, she has... Basically, she will cover everything that you already don't have. Hard ass, she has it better. Assault rifles, she used to go up to 7, but they bounced her out. Honestly, looking at it now, might have been a bad idea to give Waldo and Bert assault rifles. That's not my fault they're so damn useful. Maybe I will spend the points to put him into shotguns instead. Then again, he doesn't have that much AP. Whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. He's certainly going to be quicker than Bard. Though, he'll be closer. Whatever. Also has weaponsmithing, to the point you can get Tinkerer right off the bat with her. When you get a perk, at least. Outdoorsman. I'll be leaving all the outdoorsman stuff to Ash, because otherwise she doesn't have that much going on with her. Actually, not a lot of these guys have much going on with them. Like Mischief will probably be will be tied with things that I want her to pick up in addition to Waldo Wondertongue. Also blunt weapons, which honestly, by the time I'm going to give a crap about that, she'll be long gone. Anyways, she also starts with the perk Hardened, which gives her 1 base armor.
Cool. No need to tell Vargas why I joined you. If anybody asks, I'm just helping you get oriented, alright?
Yes. Perfectly fine. And people don't want to hang out with a carny. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that will make it for episode 1 of The Wasteland. I'd like to thank you for joining, and hope to see you all next time. Bye now.